Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim, and today I have starting a playthrough of Knights Vânătoare over Odessa. It's a game designed by Dan Monette. It's a successor to his Knights over Stalingrad game, which is currently available to pre-order on or at Legion Games. But this is a prototype of his new game that he sent me, I think back in August of last year. I did an unboxing video of it back then, and just now finally getting around to getting it on the table here. So I did play just a single campaign of it a week or so ago, just to kind of get a feel for it here before we started recording a full campaign. We're going to do a short campaign, which will be 10 turns. If you've seen I do have a playthrough also of his Knights over Stalingrad game, also with a prototype that he was kind enough to send me on the channel, so you can check that out as well if you're interested. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I've gone ahead and done some of the initial setup for the campaign. I'm going to be using the Romanian Grupal 3 Vânătoare, which flies PZL P-24 aircraft. They are based out of Manzar. I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly, but that's where they are there, their home airfield. I've drawn my 8 aircraft that will be my initial squadron, as it were. And I am playing with the optional player counter. So this represents me, basically. It starts off as I start off as an experienced pilot. And I am using the progression optional rule, or pilot advancement, I think is what it's called, where you can basically level up during the campaign from, in this case, experienced up to veteran. And then veteran to ace is only possible through an event card, though, I believe. So I drew, we got 1 ace, 2 veterans, and the rest were experienced pilots, including myself. I replaced one of the 5 experienced pilots that I drew with that player counter. So that'll be our initial aircraft. I've gone ahead and drawn my 3 initial dogfight cards. I've got a Sitting Duck, which is an improved attack card, Break Formation, Tactical Decision, and Chandelle, which is to avoid an attack. So those are our 3 dogfight cards that we have to start with. Also drawn a Fate card, Second Chances. So during an in-flight event and or post-mission card, I can play this to discard that card and redraw. And then this gets discarded after use. So if we don't like an in-flight event card or a post-mission card that we get, we can nix it and get another one. Also, when you play with the player character optional rule, I get to draw, actually not draw, I get to pick either a Fate card or a dogfight card that only that pilot will be able to use during the campaign. And I chose this Critical Moments Fate card, which lets you re-roll a damage roll of 1 that flips an aircraft to its damage side with a -1 DRM. So if I roll a critical hit on myself, basically, then I can re-roll it with a -1 DRM by discarding that card. Another thing to note when using the player character counter, if that pilot should get captured or killed, then it's game over, man. The campaign immediately ends at the end of that mission, and you'll score whatever you scored up to that point. All right, I think, just one other thing I wanted to do preliminarily. I'm also using the pilot roster to keep track of my pilots and myself, of course. And so I've named each of the pilots, and we're going to keep track of their experience level as they potentially can advance there up to veteran. The missions that they run, which is used to, you need to track that because that is determined, that and or victories is what determines when they can increase their experience level. And then also on the back, you can keep track of your campaign. So the mission that you fly each date, how many CPs, you can keep a running total of your CPs and your campaign points and your mission points here as well. And make notes of whatever you spend your mission points on after the mission. All right. And I am also using the optional rule where each of my aces gets a trait. And so I rolled for my one ace here, and he got Gifted Flyer as his trait, which means he gets a +1 DRM to aircraft damage check die rolls. So our pilots are, of course, Phelps, myself, as the player aircraft, and then I just marked down for each of the counters has an identifier letter on it. So J, for example, so we know that this one is Georgeson. I think that's an N at the end. I can't tell if it's an N or a U. But anyway, I just found a website that had like Romanian last names on it, so I just picked some that sounded good. So that's my roster. Like I said, we'll use that to keep track of things as we go along. So with that, I think we're ready to get started. So each group has their own fighter mission deck. So this is the one for Groupal 3. And in it, most of them are specific date missions. There's one card for each group that is not a date specific. It's kind of like their special mission that you can either choose to fly anytime you wish, or do like I've done and shuffle it into the generic fighter mission deck. So basically, whenever one of these dates rolls around, I can choose to either fly this group specific mission or just randomly draw a generic fighter mission. In addition, this game introduces ship attacks, since we're in combat over the port of Odessa there. So there are also these ship or surface attack mission cards. And again, these are all dated. So whenever that particular date comes up, and you can tell because they're denoted on the turn track, similar to how it was done in Knights over Stalingrad, where if you see this ship symbol, that means there's a surface attack mission for that date. Otherwise, if you see your groups symbol, like here on the 21st and the 27th for group 3, you have the option of flying a group specific mission there. So we're going to be starting on the 12th of August, which is the earliest date you can begin the campaign at. And so we're going to start with this surface attack mission on the 12th of August. So this is 12 August 41, DD Xiaomian. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. We can bring 2 fighters. Weather is clear, so we don't need to roll for the weather. We begin the mission over sector J6, and then we're going to rendezvous with 2 Ju-88s. We do not roll for an event, and then we roll on chart C1 for to see what the 2 Soviet fighters are that we're up against, and place a Soviet surface vessel counter in initiative box 1, and select this says the steamer card, but it should say the destroyer card. So we'll be using that. We'll show how that works here in a little bit. Failure to damage the Xiaomian results in the loss of 1 campaign point. Surviving bombers safely RTB after rolling for an event in the next sector. So basically the 2 Ju-88s, they just have to move 1 space, survive whatever event occurs there, and then they just automatically return to base. The rest, our fighters, though, have to actually fly all the way back to Manzar. All right, and it says historically the Xiaomian fought off its attackers and claimed 1 was shot down. So we'll see if we can do better than that and sink her. All right, so we're going to put that over here in our current mission box. So we need the destroyer card, and there's actually, so there's one of these cards for each type of ship. There's destroyers, transports, merchant ships, and patrol boats. And then for each one, and these kind of got misprinted a little bit. They're supposed to be on the reverse of each other. But there's a bomb version, a bomb attack version, and there's a torpedo attack version. Only HE-111s can use torpedoes. Everyone else uses bombs. So our Ju-88s will be dropping bombs to try to take this out. I believe our fighters can also attempt to strafe it, but they can't really do much against it. They're mainly there to protect the bombers. All right, so that's going to go here in this attack profile box. Here's where we'll keep track of damage to the 4 different approach angles that you can take. And for this particular ship type, destroyer requires 2.5 hits to sink. And we'll see how all that works here momentarily. We've got a Soviet DD counter here that it said to place in initiative box 1, so we'll do that. And then we are starting the mission at J6, so over here. And I think we're ready. We need to pick which 2 fighters we want to bring along. So I think we'll take me and our ace. Getting a little glare there. Yeah, that's better. And then we are rendezvousing with 2. Get this over here. 2 Ju-88s. So we'll grab those. There we go. And then we need to roll on chart C1. See what fighters. I'm not sure how much Dan wants me to show of the charts, but I think C1 is probably fine. It's just a roll to see which squadron we're going to be up against. And this tells you what aircraft types are in that squadron. So we'll roll a D6. See who we're going up against here. of 5, which is going to be the 69th. Not the 69th IAP, just the regular 69th. I think. I guess we'll see. Let's see what we got. Ninth IAP, 69th IAP. And then if it's supposed to be, I don't know that there are separate 69th and then 69th IAP. I think it's supposed to be the same, yeah. I will assume that's the case because I don't see any others than these. So we will just double checking. Yeah, they all say 69th IAP. Let me throw these in a bag real quick. And we'll pull a couple of them out. So we've got, wingman counter. So we'll pull another aircraft for that, plus 2 more. So unfortunately the wingman counter came out first, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. Usually you pull another counter and then attach it to the previous one, I think. I don't know, we'll see. We got an ace. These are I-16s, by the way. And we've got an, experienced. So this, if you haven't watched the Knights over Stalingrad video, just a quick explanation here. This symbol up in the top right is the pilot's experience level. So if it's a red pentagon with a 12 in it, that's an ace. It means they'll be rolling a D12 for most things. The yellow triangle with an 8 in it means they roll a D8. That's an experienced pilot. As you saw earlier, the little black diamond with a 10 in it, those are veterans. They roll a D10, and then if it's a green square with a 6 in it, they're green, and they roll a D6. So let me just refresh my memory on how these wingmen get assigned, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I think the way it works is when you draw the wingman counter, then you draw 2 counters out, and then whichever of those 2 is the higher experience becomes the lead, and the other one's the wingman. So we're going to do it like that, and then this guy will be on his own. So I hope I got that right. So that's our enemy force. Get this out of the way. No, not too far out of the way, I guess. We got to do some rolling here. So now we need to roll to see where everyone goes on the initiative track. So let's roll for these guys first. So D12 for their ace. He rolls a 2. That's nice. Then to that 2, you add the aircraft's performance rating of 4 in this case. So he's going to be at initiative 6 over here. And for their experienced pilot, a D8. He rolls a 5 plus 4 is 9. So he'll be there. Now, let's roll for our bombers, and then for our fighters. Actually, I guess it applies to the bombers too. So before we roll for ours, we have a decision to make. Because when you do a surface attack, you have the option of sacrificing 2 aircraft performance, 2 off of your aircraft performance rating in order to get a +1 modifier to your approach die roll. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that for my 2 bombers. Because one thing I found when I played this mission the first time is it's pretty hard to get a good approach. For the bombers, well, we'll look at this one, but it's similar for the destroyer too. So with the approach roll, you're going to be rolling your aircraft experience die. So in this case, the bombers are all experienced, so they'll be rolling a D8. And bombers want to get either a approach from the bow or approach from the stern, because they get better two hit possibilities. I think that's right. Yeah. Because from the, where is it at? Here it is. That's for the flak. Attack die roll. Here we go. So if you're coming in from the stern, you get a +1. Port or starboard, you get a -1, and 0 from the bow. So stern, ideally, you can see you got to roll for a green or an experienced pilot, you got to roll an 8 to approach from the stern. You got to roll a 7 to approach from the bow. So any help we can get on that, I think we definitely want to take. So these are we're gonna treat these as if they're 3 for their aircraft performance when we roll for their placement. So first one gets a 4. So 4 + 3 is going to be 7. The second one, another 4. Well, at least they're together, so when they get attacked, they'll be able to team up with their crew gunners on whoever attacks them. All right, for our fighters, we're not going to sacrifice that. So again, this guy is... there's no experience level marked on the counter since he can be, it varies basically. But currently he's an experienced, so he'll get a D8. And he gets a 7. That's pretty good. Ooh, only 3 performance rating on these things though. So that's going to be 10. Still better than all of their fighters, so that's good. And then our ace rolls an 8 + 3 is 11. Good. So we'll get to go before both of their fighters. And actually, this their ace doesn't even have a target. They're not going to be able to attack anybody. So we can concentrate on this guy, see if we can take him out here in this first round. That'd be great. All right. So now that that's all set up, we can, let me just double check on our dogfight card, see if we might have anything that would apply here. So this sitting duck, you have to have a 4 or more on the initiative differential. So this guy's only got 2 differential on him. Now we could theoretically, because he's the highest, he's the fighter with the highest initiative, he has what's called freedom of action. So he can actually choose to attack any target he wants. Normally they have to go after the next one lower in the initiative. So we could theoretically use it to go after this guy, but I don't think that really makes sense because we'd be attacking their wingman. He's protected by his ace lead, which makes him really hard to hit. So that's not really going to be applicable for this round anyway. Break formation. This is only if your pilot has a wingman. We don't currently have a wingman. And then this is to avoid an attack. Well, neither of our fighters are going to get attacked this round. But initiative differential of 1 or less for this. Each aircraft rolls experience die. If we succeed, there's no attack and both aircraft go to action taken. If we fail, the enemy gets a normal attack plus a second one at -2 DRM. So a little risky, but good way to avoid getting hit if you can pull it off. All right, I just realized I forgot to put our weather marker here. Normally you would roll for the weather using this chart here, but this mission specifically states that it's clear, which basically means no negative die roll modifiers for our bombing runs or for the flak attack that we'll have to face when we do decide to attack the ship. But it does give us a positive modifier when we have to land, so that's good. All right, so I think we're all set up here for combat. We're on combat round 1. There are 3 rounds of combat, unless there's heavy clouds, in which case there's only 2. So yeah, we're gonna have our ace come down and attack this fighter here. We're gonna roll a d12. So these 2 numbers here tell us what we need to hit. So if we get a 6, we achieve 1 hit, 6 or higher. If we get an 8 or higher, we get 2 hits. This C is their attack rating, which we'll see when we pull an attack or a damage chit. That determines how much damage it does. C is the worst. Then there's B and A. But these, you get to draw a C, but then you get to add 1 to whatever the value is. So that's pretty good. Makes them almost as good as a B. And then this -1, green -1 here is, it means they get a -1 DRM on 2 hit die rolls. So when we're being attacked, the person trying to hit us has a -1 to their roll, because these are very maneuverable aircraft. All right, so we'll roll d12. We're looking for at least a 6. An 8 or better would be awesome. And we got a 7. I thought it was a 1 at first. I was like, oh no. All right, so 7 means 1 hit. But let's double check. I think these guys got some of those special symbols on them too. Let's see if any of those come into play here. So he's got the same -1 on 2 hit die rolls. So that was actually only a 6, but it's still 1 hit. And then what does the H with the -1? 1 subtracted from first damage chit on head-on attacks. Okay, well, we're not doing a head-on attack. All right, so we do get a hit against him. So we'll draw a damage chit from the bag. I'll show you how those work. So here you see there's A, B, and C. So we're going to be using the C portion of it, since our aircraft has a C damage rating, but we get to add 1 to it. Pretty sure that's what that means. I don't see that noted here. So we do 3 damage. So we're going to put 3 damage on him. Oops. And then now he has to make a damage check roll. So again, it's an experienced pilot, so we'll be rolling a D8. He has to roll greater than a 3 to avoid being flipped. If he rolls a 3 or less, then he will be flipped. So D8. We're hoping they get a 3 or less. Nope, 6, so he's fine. Now, this aircraft has no enemy aircraft at a higher initiative value, so he can go to action taken. He's done for this combat round. All right, so now we are going to swoop in and try to see if we can get him to flip. So we are, again, an experienced pilot, so we're rolling a D8. We need a 6 or higher, but again, because the I-16 is very maneuverable, we get a -1 to our 2 hit roll. Ooh, we got an 8, so it becomes a 7, so it's only 1 hit, unfortunately. At least we did get a hit. We'll draw another damage chit. And the one I drew the first time goes back into the mix. So you're just always pulling from the same pool. All right, and this time we get a 1. But again, we get to add 1 to that, so that's 2 more damage. So he's up to 5 damage now. And now he has to do a damage check against a 5. So we're hoping he rolls a 5 or less. He does. Ooh, and a 1. So he's flipped, but then that 1 is a critical hit, which means we get to pull another damage chit. And here's where I'm not sure whether I should have put that initial one back in before I pull this or not, but I did. So, but we pull another one. If we can get 3 more damage on him, he'll automatically be shot down. Now we only got 2 more. So 1 more damage, but again, +1 because of our aircraft. And this one is a special damage counter with this G on it and the different color background. That means if this aircraft had a tail gunner, which this one does not, it would have a green arrow underneath it. This one just has the black arrow in the front representing his frontal attack, but he has no tail gunner. But that would take the tail gunner out, basically, when you draw this. But anyway, we get 2 more damage on him. So he's up to 7. So now, unless he can roll an 8, he is going to be shot down. 7 damage. Rolling against a 7. And he gets a 4, so he's shot down. So he goes down here to the destroyed box. So now we roll to see if the pilot manages to bail out. So they have to roll their experience die. If they get a 3 or less, they fail to bail out. He got a 4, so he did manage to bail out. Then we have to roll to see if they are able to evade capture. Again, a 3 or less means they are captured. And he got a 2, so he is captured. So what I was doing is using these cubes here. We'll use a yellow cube to show that he's been captured. A red cube would indicate that he had been killed. And that will come into play when we calculate our mission points. You get extra mission points based on the pilot's experience level if you manage to capture or kill them. All right, well, that was excellent. Again, this aircraft has no enemies at a higher initiative, so he goes to action taken. I say he, that's actually me. So I go to action taken. So now our 2 bombers get a chance to do their thing. So this is where we need to consult this attack profile card. So a few things that come into play here. Depending on which, and I think these should probably say round instead of turn, but for round 1, you get no modifier. If it's round 2, you get a +1 modifier. If it's round 3, you get a +2 modifier. If the aircraft had been attacked by enemy fighters during this round, then we'd get a -1 die roll. But they were not attacked at all, so that will not apply. So no modifier there. We do, however, get the +1 modifier by because we sacrificed our aircraft performance at the beginning. So I'm just thinking we probably need a way to indicate that as well. So what I'm going to do is put, because there could be cases where you have some aircraft that do and some that don't. I'm going to put a purple cube on them to show that they sacrificed part of their aircraft performance in order to get a better approach roll. All right, let me just double check, make sure I'm not forgetting anything else. I should have mentioned too, it doesn't apply in this case, but if there were more than one surface vessel to attack, Before the beginning of combat, each aircraft has to designate which ship they're going to be attacking. And as long as you stay with that ship that you're attacking, that's where these modifiers come in. So if you decide to go after a different ship, or maybe the ship you had originally designated gets sunk, later during the combat, then this modifier won't apply. But since there was only one, obviously we designated both of them to attack that surface target. So the modifiers are, first of all, you use your pilot experience die roll, which in this case will be a D8. If you're approaching the same ship that was identified before combat, then you get the combat round modifier, which we mentioned was here. That's going to be 0 for this first round. -1 if they were attacked earlier in the round. They were not. And then that's it. So, and then we cross-reference with our experience type. So basically for this, if we roll a 1 to 3, we're going to be approaching from port, 4 to 6, starboard, 7 from the bow, and 8 from the stern. And no die roll modifiers. So we'll roll that first for the first bomber that's coming in. And awesome, we get an 8. So we are approaching from the stern. Just put it like that so we know that. So now once you find out your approach vector, you basically get to decide whether you want to actually carry through with the attack or not. Because it may be the case where you end up coming in from port or starboard and you decide, well, that -1 modifier, not very good chance of hitting. I'd rather not have to suffer the AA attack. Then you just decide to not go through with it. And then you just go to action taken. In this case, we're definitely going through with it since we're coming in from the stern with our +1 modifier to our attack roll. So, but before we get to roll for our attack, this up here says that this has a flak defense rating of 2. So the ship's going to get to roll 2 D8s, I believe it is, for flak, and see if any of them hit us. Let me just confirm exactly how that works before we proceed. Actually, before we get to that, I just realized I skipped a step. Before we roll for flak, since we've decided to dive in and execute the attack, we have the option of drawing one of these surface attack cards. And basically, I think some of them are good, some of them are bad. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. See what these are all about. So we're going to draw a surface attack card for this attack. And we get Don't Blink. Oh, it's a negative DRM to the damage die roll. That's bad. So we have to roll a D6. I assume this means the attack die roll. That's what it's referred to here. Yeah, that must be what it is. Just a little change of wording. So note there, Dan. Probably want to make the terminology match to avoid confusion. Wait for my cuckoo. All right, so this was a poor choice. We're going to roll. Hopefully we can get a 1 because that will have no effect. Otherwise, we're either getting a -1 or a -2, which is going to nullify the advantage we had from approaching from the stern. All right, here we go. Come on, 1. Yes, we got a 1. All right. So no effect there. Let's put this, I don't know, I guess these get shuffled back in. I think that's usually how these type of cards work. All right, so we'll shuffle that back into the deck. All right, so no negative modifier there. So now we're on to our flak attack. And this works just like a regular flak attack, like against a ground target. So, remember it, that's one of the A charts. Odessa flak attack, regular flak attack. All right, so we have to roll X number of D8s, and against fighters, no, these aren't fighters, against bombers or transports, a 1 to 5 is a miss. A 6 or 7 is a level B damage chit. 8 or higher is a level A damage chit. You may say, what do you mean 8 or higher? Well, I think there's, I know there's negative die roll modifiers. I'm guessing there could possibly be positive die roll modifiers too. Anyway, so we're rolling 2 D8s. I think I have another one over here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. And we got a 6 and a 7. That's not good. 2 level Bs. And I don't recall if those are resolved as individual attacks or just a single attack. We're going to do it as a single attack, which means we only do 1 damage roll. All right, so 2 level Bs. We got a 2. And we got another 2. Ooh, I gotta see what this means. Oh, that's pilot wounded, I think. Oh, yeah, I think that does matter even for these guys. So it's going to be a total of 4 damage, and the pilot is wounded. Not good. So 4 damage on him. We have a pilot wounded marker here. I believe that gives him a -1 modifier. We'll look that up though. Okay, so he's got to roll against a 4. See if he gets flipped. He does. Fortunately, it wasn't a critical. Almost was. So the flak managed to flip our bomber and wound the pilot. Not too many things to keep on top of here. All right, so let's see what that pilot wounded does. Ooh, actually, that gives a -1 to all PE die rolls, which means his damage check was actually a 1, which means it was a critical hit. So they get another B, and we have to do another damage check. 4, oh no, he took him out. The flak took us out. That's terrible. Wow, that was really bad. All right, well, I thought I was going to get to show how a surface attack worked, but we got partway through the procedure. All right, so that's a crewed aircraft, so we don't roll for bailout or evasion for them. They're just going to get the points or we're going to lose points for losing that aircraft. All right, well, See if this guy has any better luck. So again, round 1, so no approach die roll modifier there, was not attacked by enemy fighters. So it's just going to be a straight roll for the approach. Or sorry, it's a +1. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. We should have had a +1 on that other one too, but that would have made it a 9, so it didn't make any difference. So +1 to this die roll. Ooh, not as good. So 3 means we're approaching from the port side. And so we have the option to... Oh, you know what I forgot? There was also a DRM for the flak to hit from aft. Oh, again here, Dan, I think we might want to use same wording here, stern or aft, whichever we decide on. That should have been a -1 to those 2-hit die rolls. Let's see if that would have made a difference. I think it was a 6 and a 7. So it would have been a 5 and a 6. Yeah, darn it. So actually, they should have only drawn 1. I'm going to have to rewind this, unfortunately. Let me see if I can remember what they what order they drew those in. They did get the pilot. No, so the first one, you know what? I'm just going to redraw because I don't remember. All right, rewind. He was there. So we're still coming in from the stern here or aft. And they got 1 level B hit. I'm going to pull that 4 again. Okay, so it's a 2. So only 2 damage. Rolling against the 2. You gotta be kidding me. Critical hit. Flips him. Draw another B. Two more. So up to 4. And roll against the 4. Wow. Okay, same result, just a different way of getting there. That was terrible. All right, so back to where we were. This guy's attacking from port side. So if we decide to follow through, so we're coming in from port. They're going to get a +1 DRM to the flak roll. And we're getting a -1 DRM on our attack die roll. And for the attack die roll, 1 to 5 is a miss. A 6 or a 12 is a near miss. And then 7 to 11 is a hit. And there's weather DRMs that apply. Boy, do we want to risk +1 flak? We're the only guy left, though. We gotta try to sink this thing. I think we gotta go for it. Do we risk pulling another surface attack card? I say yes. Maybe we'll get a good one this time. Successful diversion. Go to action complete. Your attack on the surface vessel has left any enemy cap in disarray. After completing your attack on the surface vessel, immediately go to action complete, regardless if there are any enemy fighters at a higher initiative level. Oh, that's right. Forgot these guys are going to get a chance to attack if if we survive and attack the ship, because then we have to stay here and then they'll have a chance to attack us. But then this nullifies that basically, so that's good. So remember that. All right, so we'll carry on with our attack then, well, with the flak attack. So +1 to the flak attack because we're coming in from the port side. So again, rolling 2d8. Let's get 2 misses this time, please. Oh. Well, they would have been misses without the modifier, but the 5 has become a 6. So they do get 1 hit on us. That's a level B hit. And it is 2 damage and tail gunner casualty, but this is a crew gunner, so that doesn't affect them. So 2 damage. Rolling against a 2. Oh, wow. All right, so we survived that this time. So now we get to actually carry through with the attack. If the aircraft was hit by flak, we get a -1 DRM, so we're looking at a -2 DRM. And we're needing at least a 6 for a near miss, which will count as half a hit. Or a 7. Well, we can't get a 7. So the best we can hope for is a near miss. Oh boy. Yep. So we need an 8 just to get half a hit. Nope. Miss. All right. But thanks to our successful diversion, we go to action taken. Which means these guys have no one to attack now, so they also go to action taken. All right. I'll shuffle this back in. Might want to clarify that, whether these surface attack cards get shuffled back in after use or if they should go to a discard pile. I'm assuming you'd want them shuffled in so you have equal chance of getting any of them each time. All right, well, we're on to round 2. See if we can, let's see, we're approaching an hour already. Let's see if we can get this last 2 rounds done here at least, and then we'll probably make this a part 1. Alrighty, so we need to roll for initiative again. And I guess each round, do we choose whether we want to sacrifice our yeah, it's before rolling for initiative, so each round I guess we can do that. Yeah, I feel like I need to. So we'll make this guy a 3 again. Let's roll for him. 7 plus 3 is you know what I forgot? JU88s have this symbol on them. I forgot what that means. Yikes. So basically with the JU88 you have a choice of doing dive bombing or level bombing. I believe actually bombing roll. Yeah. So I guess we were supposed to designate whether they were doing bombing or dive bombing. I think going against ships, dive bombing probably makes more sense. So they get a +1 DRM on the 2-hit roll, but also they get a +1 DRM to flak attacks. So I'm not going to go back and redo that again, though, but we'll remember that for next time. So what did I say? So he got a 7, so he's a 3, so he goes to 10. All right, and let's roll for our D8 and a D12 for our 2 fighters. So the D12 rolled a 6, and he's a 3, so he goes to 9. And 8 plus 3 is an 11. So that's where they are. And now for their ace with his wingman. Another low roll would be nice. 6. 6 and 4 is 10. And he will go before the bomber. But at least that means he can't attack the bomber, so that's nice. Because aircraft that are in the same initiative, if they're fighters, they can go head-on attack. But you can't do a head-on attack against a bomber. All right. Well, we get first crack, though. We have, again, freedom of initiative, but we really only got 1 target to go for, so that's an easy choice. Now I have to recall for wingmen. With an ace in the lead, it's a -2 on the 2-hit DRM against his wingman. So we get -2 to this die roll. Plus another -1 because the wingman is also an I-16. So -3 on this die roll. Which I think means the only possible way we can hit is if we roll an 8. Because I think an 8... If you roll the max die roll for your die, it's automatically a hit. At least I know that's how it works for green pilots. I assume it's the same in this case. But he misses. All right, so that means he's going after our ace, the D12, but we also have that -1 maneuverability bonus. So -1 to this die roll. Ooh, 2 hits on a B. So we got 3. I do know these are resolved as a single attack. Youch. 3 and a 4. 7. Rolling against a 7. Flipped. This is not going well. He's done. Or no, he's not. Well, I mean, technically there's an aircraft at a higher initiative, but the bomber can't attack him, so he's done. All right, so now our bomber is up again. So coming in for the approach, he was not attacked this round, so we don't suffer that -1. He gets the +1 for sacrificing aircraft performance rating and a +1 for it being turn 2. So we get a +2 to this die roll. Again, looking for ideally an 8, but at least a 7. Eight again, becomes 10. So coming in from the stern. So we're going to be getting a +1. We're coming in from the stern, and if we manage to not get hit by flak, that will still apply, but then still we're looking at, we'd have to get at least a 6 to get a hit. A 5 would get a near miss. Again, debating on whether we want to take our chances with a surface attack card. Let's try going without it this time. So our flak attacks then, again, JU-88, well, not again, but remembering this time, +1 on flak die rolls against it. And then also we're coming in from the aft, so it gets a -1. So it's a straight roll. Yeah, so I guess the only thing that means is our initial flak we did against the first aircraft stood, where the pilot got wounded and then he got a critical hit. I don't think it would have affected the second one. So I think we got by with that one. But so this is going to be a 0 DRM to this flak die roll. Come on. 7 and 8 is going to be a B and an A. Flak's brutal. This might shoot us down. Well, that's 3 from that one. Puts us up to 5. If this is 3, then we're done for. Whew. Hanging on. 7. Well, 5 more, which takes us to 7. Where'd that 7 go? 7's on the back of 8, yeah. So 7 damage, which means we have to roll an 8 or else we're flipped. Nope. Oh, wow. Flipped, critical hit. So we draw another. I think when you get a critical hit on a flak, I think you use the, I can't remember if you use the higher rating or the lower rating. Let me double check. It's the highest level. So he's going to take another A, which is going to shoot him down. I don't even need to draw it. I mean, even if it was a B, it was going to shoot him down. So, yep, he's shot down by flak. And the ship is going to go unscathed, it looks like. So that leaves our ace. Now, like I said, I think fighters do have an option to I think what it is, the only thing the fighters can do, I think, is damage the flak, maybe. If I remember right. Actually, you know what I just realized too? This second bomber, because he did execute an attack on the ship, he's supposed to go to break off. He doesn't participate further in the combat. All that was meaningless. Yeah, each aircraft only gets one shot at the surface target. Wow. So it's pretty much impossible. Yeah, we don't need to sink it. We just have to damage it. Yeah, it's impossible to sink it, I just realized, because it requires 2.5 hits, and we only have 2 bombers. But yeah, so I mean, on the good side, we didn't lose our second bomber. So yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be participating in this round of combat. My apologies there. But yeah, I couldn't find anything. I could have, maybe I'm confusing it with strafing ground targets. I thought there was an option to have the fighters go in against the ship, but I guess not. It'd be pretty crazy. All right, so he's done basically. Got nothing to attack. I mean, he's got, I would have passed with him anyway. He's got 7 damage and he's flipped. All right, so that's going to take us to round 3. So all we have left are the fighters. Let's see if we can try to get at least one of these guys down, or damaged at least. So let's roll for our 2. So we have an experienced and an ace. Just remembered too, what was his? Our ace has gifted flyer. I think I forgot to use his bonus. Supposed to be +1 DRM on aircraft damage checks. Did he roll a critical? I don't think he did. But I also don't think he rolled high enough to beat a 7 even with a +1. All right, well, these are terrible rolls. Both 3s, so... And our ace is flipped, so he's only got a performance rating of 2 now. So he goes in initiative 5. And myself, go in initiative 6. Let's see where their ace ends up. 9. So yeah, he's at 9 + 4, 13. Yikes. All right. Well, he has freedom of action, so he's going to choose to go here. And I think this is a good time to play this Chandelle. Or no, I can't. It has to be 1 or less. Darn it. Hoping to be able to avoid that attack. All right, we just have to hope he misses. He does get a -1 to his roll because of our maneuverability. Doesn't matter when you roll an 11. So that's 2 more hits on B. Pretty sure this is going to shoot us down. Once your damage equals or exceeds your pilot experience number, you're automatically shot down, even if you're not even flipped yet. So that's 3. That takes us to 10. So unless this is a 1, I don't know if there's any B's with 1. I don't think there are. Oh, it's a 2, just enough. So that takes us to 12. So our ace gets shot down. Now we have to roll to see if they bail out. He does. And does he evade? He does. So we'll put put nothing. So he's evading. So we're going to put this on him actually. So we'll get the pilot back at least. Just have to replace his aircraft. So he stays there, which gives us a chance to come in against him. But again, with a -3, because he's protected by the lead, and he gets a -1 for his aircraft type. So we have to roll an 8 to get a hit. Nope. So that's going to do it for that combat. So we'll figure up our mission points, and then we'll call this apart and break it. All right, so we managed to get... it's 2 points for destroyed aircraft. And what do we got here? Yeah. Enemy aircraft, enemy fighter destroyed is 2 points. And then because we captured the experienced pilot, that's another 1 point. So that's 3 points. But then we lose for a friendly bomber shot down is -4. So that puts us at -1. And then we also had a fighter shot down, which is another -2. So we're at -3 so far. Let's put our mission points to -3. These go back in the current flight box. These guys go away. And we will pick it back up from there in the next episode. So thanks everybody for watching. This has been the start of our Knights of Vânătoare over Odessa playthrough. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next episode for part 2. Bye for now.